Welcome to the Llamazing Data podcast. So, hello everybody. This is the brand new episode of our data driven podcast. My name is Ksenia, and we're about to start our new exciting talk with Adam. Hello. Would you like to tell us some more about yourself?
Hi, thanks for the invitation. My name is Adam Reichardt. I am the editor in chief of New Eastern Europe. It is a publication based in Poland, but in the English language, and we have distribution around the world, and we cover issues related to Central and Eastern Europe. And we are also available online and in digital format.
Can you please tell me how is that happening in the 21st century? How do you manage to have the paper format still running?
Well, actually, it's kind of funny because when we started the project, which was just almost 10 years ago, I think it was 2011 when we launched New Eastern Europe. It already was in the middle of the digital transition when a lot of publications were going online, and people were saying, "You're crazy! You're starting a paper publication in the times of digital transformation. Everything's going online. Why are you doing this?" And we thought, well, it's true. That was kind of one of the big challenges that we had to deal with. But we also feel that there is some value yet to paper. We went ahead and launched a paper publication. It's more kind of long reads, essays, types of articles that we publish. Because I think our original thinking and our original mindset when we started the publication was, well, if we print it, then it should be paid for. It's exclusive in that way. Because we also have a website with kind of updated articles and more shorter text based on like current events that are happening, and all that content is free. But if we print it, then you should pay for it. And I think now we're starting to come to the realization that more and more people are willing to pay for quality content, even if it's not printed on paper.
And how was the launch of the digital format going? How was that transferring? How was that happening?
Digitally, so you can find an app which is called New Eastern Europe, either on App Store or on Google Play. And there you can get the digital copy, which is basically kind of looks just like the paper copy, except you read it on the screen. And then in a couple years ago, we decided to also pretty much put everything that we publish in the print edition. We put online. We allowed print subscribers. If you're a print subscriber and you pay for the publication, you are allowed to have full digital access to it as well online. We do have readers who sometimes want to read some articles in print and some articles maybe online, or reference back to it so they can go back to it digitally. And then we also offered digital only subscriptions, I think, starting about 3 years ago. And we've seen that number actually start to now grow. We see more and more people are interested in the content and paying for the content, which is for us very surprising, but in a very positive way, that people are interested in paying for the content that we produce, even digitally, even if we don't print it.
Do you plan, or maybe you do already practice this kind of approach when you prepare some kind of, the digest of publications specifically for one reader based on what this person is most interested in, what this specific reader has been choosing throughout the whole time of being your subscriber, making it very customized for them?
We haven't made that approach yet. This is something that we're looking at. We're looking at different models, and one of the plans that we do have is to try to come up with a new model for engaging the readers. We want to build more of a community around the reader, and one of these ways is we haven't, we haven't even conceptualized it, but I think you put it in a very good form of the question: is how do we customize the experience for each individual reader? And that's something that we are still looking at. We don't necessarily have an idea on how to do it, but it's definitely the approach I think that we would like to take, and journalism in general should be going, I think, more in this direction, as we see the importance of customized content for each reader and each individual.
You're saying that probably in a lot of ways, journalism in the future might be shifting onto this kind of approach. Like making it not all about the readers, but very much targeted onto the readers, what they're looking for, and what are their expectations from the content. But wouldn't that eventually, or like gradually, bring us to the state where we are actually feeding the public what they're expecting to be fed with? So we're just going to give them only very biased information information that they're interested in, that would just, like prepare this bubble they're going to be living in and reading it. So not seeing the full picture because of those interest limitations kind of thing.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, I would very much caution about that. And in fact, I think we're kind of somewhat already in that place. Not we as Eastern Europe, but we as basically as a society. We in journalism see that people really are going to where the information is that they want to read, going to the news that they want to hear, or the opinions that they want to hear. And this is a big challenge because it does create these bubbles. And I do agree that that is a problem, and it's not something that we in journalism should be trying to develop. I think that's a big a big problem area for us. And a lot of that also has to do with algorithms, and if a lot of people nowadays where they get their sources of information, or at least leads on where to find more information, it does often come from social media, and social media based on algorithms which are based on your interests or your past history of where you clicked. The algorithms focus in that way, and I think that is a big problem. So we need to find some sort of balance, how to give the readers the information and types of stories that they want to read, at the same time without further biasing or strengthening these bubbles.
We're trying to collect all the information that we can, like to find some statistical analysis from the proper and the trustworthy databases, probably conduct the polls ourselves and try to make it as vast as possible, and then to run the analysis over that. Recently, I heard about the new way how to prepare the articles, or basically how to approach the coverage of some events or of some things that are happening, called data journalism. Would you say that this is a new branch, or probably this is the development of the classical idea of journalist, or what would that be, or just another buzzword that we hear every day?
Data journalism is something that has been becoming more popular, as you said, to use. But really, it's using data presentation in articles. And I think this is something that's always existed in some form or not, but with tools that now exist, which allow us to create very nice presentations like infographics, where we can visualize data, present statistics that are easier to understand than we could have before. This is where data journalism kind of shows up. So I think it is important, and I do think this is a positive trend, that presenting data in a way that your everyday reader can understand it, and showing it that they see exactly what you mean by showing this data. This is a positive development. And yes, I think data journalism is going to be kind of a field that probably will continue to develop as these tools become easier and easier for journalists to use to present data. But I do think, just from my biased opinion, that there is still a strong human element in terms of presenting information, presenting stories, and presenting news that requires a human editor. If I may jump into a little bit of a different topic, which I just kind of introduced, I do think that the role of AI in journalism, as I mentioned, will grow, and I think in a positive sense, it can grow in the field of fact checking, because fact checking is really a difficult task for, and a lot of journalism, a lot of media organizations and journalists don't have the resources to do the in-depth type of fact checking that is required in today's, especially as we have been talking about, polarized journalism, where a lot of data and information is manipulated to convince the audience to a certain point of view. And here is where AI can be used, either as internally as a media organization to do its own fact checking, or even externally.
So the funny thing is that you said, let me jump to probably a different topic, but that was actually the very topic I was planning to ask you. What kind of duties and responsibilities would you be not willing to, but probably okay with shifting onto the algorithm side? So you mentioned fact checking. That's like one point. Is there anything else you think that might be appropriate to be done not by humans, but by the algorithms and the machines?
That's really a difficult question for me to answer. I mean, I guess we could say proofreading in some way, checking language grammatically, which already exists. We have in Word, we have spell checkers in, and there are certain areas where automation could help, or AI could help with editors for that. But there still is, in terms of text, style is very important in any language. Style is very important, and this is where it would be very challenging still at this point for AI. It still will require a lot of human involvement.
You probably heard about that. That's a pretty recent story. There was the AI kind of journalist algorithm in one of the UK based newspapers who was presented one of the articles. It was working on the article about the girl pop group, and it was gathering information about this one of the members of the group from open source databases, but it was not very good at distinguishing the skin complexion. So, in the end, before the publication, the algorithm actually mistakenly put the wrong picture. So, basically, the text information was correct about the girl, but the face on the cover of the article was the wrong person. So, that one of the things that you've mentioned, like the fact checking, which can be done in the end by the editor or by the fellow human journalist. Like, okay, you gathered information, but did you put it right? Or you just made some weird Frankenstein kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. There was also an example. I forget the name, but like there's these chat bots that were based on algorithms where it grew or it learned by chatting with humans, and the humans that it were chatting with had decided to mess with the algorithms, and by the end, the chatbot becomes aggressive. It
Okay.
becomes it's saying pro fascist type of ideas, which is really crazy. So we have to be we have to be careful that algorithms can be set up in such a way to have certain goals, but there's also the human element which can manipulate algorithms. So it's not just the algorithms manipulating people, but the people can also manipulate the algorithms.
Yeah, and I think that one of the aspects which is also important here is the ethics aspect, basically because algorithms are more result driven. They're more result oriented. Like, okay, I have the facts, I have to represent them somehow. They are about to do that the most efficient way, like just to make it as clear as possible. But sometimes it can be pure offensive, destructive, or subjective. So everything that we would not like to see in our news. So that's probably another part that you were mentioning, like why the humans are up in there.
Sure, absolutely, and we also have to think about freedom of speech and free speech and how that plays in with algorithms. And I don't have any answer to that, but these are definitely one of the big ethics questions that need to be looked at.
Do you have any kind of a story of, like the screw up when the technology actually led you down on something and you actually thought that, damn, it would never happen, like 10 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever?
I don't think we've ever had such a dramatic situation where we had to blame technology, other than a computer crashing, and we lost countless hours of work. But that happens to everybody, and that happened since the invention of the computer. So actually, we've managed pretty well. I don't have any horror stories, which maybe knock on wood. Will continue that way. So we try our best to keep some sort of backups. I mean, when you save data in the cloud, that's always a positive, that it's there even if your computer crashes. It more was actually years ago when we were working, strictly on Word, or primarily on Word, which we still do a lot. I mean, I can't say that we don't use Word, but when we have when we transfer, especially at the end of the process when we prepare our articles for print, we do it all digitally. Actually, we move it all onto the cloud. Our formatter prepares it, and then we prepare it in PDF form first, and then we prepare it for the printers. So actually, the everything is digital until the last moment when our printers press the print. And that's also shows that even if it's printed on paper, everything is done. All the work behind it is digital.
So, you know that we always play a little game with our guests. Speaking of your previously mentioned digital mindset, I would like to challenge you on that.
Okay.
So, the rules are the same. We're going to have 1 minute. Your task would be to focus on the statements I will be telling you, to think them through, and try to figure out whose duty is that? Who is doing that? A human journalist, or the artificial intelligence algorithm, or helper, or little elf, or however you're going to name it?
Okay.
I would also like you to say a couple of comments how you got this answer and what made you think one way or another. And let's try to do as many as we can.
Okay.
Okay, so you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. First one, I count likes and preferences to prepare articles interesting to a specified reader.
I would say that can be either. Am I allowed to say either human
Yes,
or
definitely.
okay? I would say this would be either a human or a machine. Personally, I would prefer that done from a human because we can debate why that is, where a machine would tell us the raw data.
So the next one, I apply different linguistic patterns to catch the reaction onto specific phrases and words.
This, I would say, should be more human, especially if you're preparing information or news pieces and you're looking at how to present certain articles and what type of language to use. This, in my opinion, is a human.
Okay. So the next one, I analyze enormous amounts of data to find out new patterns and tendencies.
This I would put towards the computer, the AI, because analyzing enormous amounts of data requires enormous amount of resources slash time, which journalists do not have very much of.
Okay, thank you. Hooray! That was it.
All right.
In the conclusion, so you said that next year is going to be the very big date in the life of your magazine and just in the team of yours. Imagine that the portal opens and you have the opportunity to talk to yourself 10 years ago. The little version of you, Adam, who is just starting the issue and is entering the New Eastern Europe world right away. Is there anything you would like to tell him?
Do we have another hour?
No, the portal is going to
It's going to
close.
close. So, I mean, I think lessons that I've learned throughout these last 10 years really is that journalism is not just text. It's not just editing pieces of text. It really is, number one, engaging with your audience. It's engaging with the consumer. My final message to my young self would be continue to be innovative and really adapt to the new tools to your work to help you do it easier and better.
That's really very motivative for so many other fields, just be creative, keep doing what you're doing, and keep your eyes wide open.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you very much for awesome conversation. Thank you for reminding me and everybody that journalism is very, very human oriented profession and occupation.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for the invitation to your podcast.
Thank you. Bye. This has been another episode of Llamazing Data podcast. My name is Ksenia. Stay tuned for more awesome stories about data and have a great day.